So we're going to wrap her up with Reddit Thread of the Week. And basically what this is what UFC card would you show a non-MMA fan to showcase MMA and sort of get them to go, yeah, fuck man, that's, you know, sit like, the way I'd explain it is, sit, you know, a friend or a brother or your dad or something down and go, look, watch this. There's still, as weird as it is, there's still this thing about MMA, a shadow from people who have never watched it.
Yeah.
So as
human cockfighting.
Yeah, human cockfighting. So what would you sit them down and go, no, have a look. What do you think? So give us
do you have the thread up on
have
Reddit?
The thread
so
here, yeah.
So this is if you don't use Reddit MMA or MMA.
I don't use Reddit
excellent,
MMA anymore.
No, you don't. Excellent subreddit. Do you have it's basically a forum and you can talk MMA. All the news and all is up there. Who's the guy who posted this thread?
She's putting me under pressure now. Boy, Scrayness, SCRAYNES.
Cool.
Yeah, and I'm embraced the madness on it, and I'm blocked from MMA Reddit. What's the story?
Because you're a dick.
Buzz Night, sort me out.
Yeah. So I'll let you go first. You can have the floor.
Oh, my favourite.
The quintessential card. If you're gonna sit down. You're a young lad, say, he hasn't watched MMA. I'm sure he has, but if he hasn't watched MMA, you're forced to.
He has watched MMA.
But if he hasn't, and you're sitting them down and you're like, this is what MMA is, you want to get into the sport, watch this card, you'll be hooked.
A couple of reasons why.
Okay. What's the card first?
UFC.
Yep.
100.
Okay, yeah.
Back in 2009.
Yeah.
A couple of reasons being is you had the crossover, what we spoke about last year about the crossover fighters and stuff. You had Brock Lesnar taking on Frank Mir. And that was Frank Mir Lesnar 2. There was such hype behind this fight because of the big build-up of the first fight. And there was real hatred between Mir and Lesnar. And Mir had bulked up to 265 of pure muscle mass as well. Kangaroo me for this fight, and it was like, as much as we all talk about, you know, everybody loves to see the big boys bang.
Yeah.
And these at the time, yeah, it does sound weird. But at the time, this was for the heavyweight title, and it was a huge fight. And meant a lot. But the great thing about this was the co-main event of Brock Lesnar Frank Mir was George St. Pierre against Thiago Alves.
And to put this into perspective, as far as I know,
it was in the prime.
But also to put this in perspective of the UFC at this time, for the last couple of events, a lot of events, they didn't really do double title fights on cards. Yeah. Now you kind of see it more because they're trying to build the pay-per-views and they have this TV deal where they're having cards on. But they didn't really get this double title fight on the main card. So like when you were looking at that and you saying George St. Pierre defending his title against Thiago Alves and Brock Lesnar defending his title against Frank Mir, you're like, holy shit, is that one card?
Yeah. Well, the card gets better. It was the Dan Henderson, Michael Bisping.
The classic.
It's basically Dan Henderson's fucking logo now.
Yeah, the punch.
Flying punch after he'd already put him out.
Yeah.
You had Alan Belcher against Yoshihiro Akiyama. That was a fucking great fight as well.
What I loved about that fight was it was the introduction of Sexy Ahmed to the US and then he had the classic Sexy Ahmed time to say goodbye music coming in. He comes in and it's kind of something that you didn't really see in the UFC. That was more of a Pride thing or in Japan thing.
Almost showman like.
Yeah, the showman thing, and it was a great fight, close fight. I thought maybe Belcher could have, took it, but whatever.
Decision win.
John Fitch beat Paulo Thiago in a, John Fitch fight, but it was kind of fun.
Yeah, Jim Miller beat Mac Danzig, and then you had this little fella. I don't know if anyone ever heard of him. You had John Jones.
Who's that guy?
Beat Jake O'Brien by a guillotine choke. Coleman beat Stephen Bonner.
Jim Miller, Mac Danzig.
Dong Hum Kim, TJ Grant, Tom Lawler against CB Dalloway. It was a great, and all the fights delivered. That was the big thing about. There was a big build up to 100 because it was the whole 100 pay per view, and it was a big thing. John Finch beat Paulo Thiago as well.
Yeah, just like that.
But it was a stunning card.
Yeah,
I have gone back a good few times to watch UFC 100 as well. So that would be one of my cards. Because I have a few that I more for the, because that was what year? When did I say that was? 2009.
Yeah.
A lot of you mightn't even be born.
I remember I was in Spain that year that happened. It was probably about 3 or 4 weeks after, and I watched the card. And when I went to Spain, do you know when you go to a pub in Spain and you have all the guys coming around with the fake DVDs? Well, not fake DVDs, they're real, but the dodgy DVDs. And they had UFC 100.
Class.
And I bought it. And I spent probably 3 or 4 nights over there when I was over there for 2 weeks, and probably 3 or 4 nights just threw UFC 100 on and watched it.
I was living in Offaly, and the pub my missus worked in was O'Toole's in Road. And we had Sky, but I didn't have, at the time UFC was on Setanta. Setanta Sports.
Yeah. What happened to that?
Yeah, so I didn't have Sky. But when the bar closes at like 12:30, never closes at 12:30 in O'Toole's. But I drove up and got the Sky card.
Oh, did you?
And drove back home, stuck the Sky card in, and ching, UFC 100, baby. What's your shout with your card?
Mine is a bit more recent. UFC 189. It was the one that was supposed to be headlined by McGregor versus Jose Aldo, and then was in the last week changed to Conor McGregor versus Chad Mendes. This fight card was definitely one of the best fight cards I've ever seen, and maybe because it's a bit more fresh, a lot of people will bring it up more. But just look down the whole card. Every single fight on that main card is highlight reel stuff. You had on top of the card, of course, you had Conor McGregor versus Chad Mendes. Conor McGregor kind of making his way up the rankings. He was supposed to get the title fight there, and everyone was saying, "Oh, he's skipping the queue. He's not fighting the wrestler." And then at the last hour, Chad Mendes comes in, the wrestler, his kryptonite. Of course,
Sinead O'Connor sings him out.
Sinead O'Connor sings him out. Excellent fight. Chad Mendes looks great in the first round. McGregor looks pretty good in the first round, but gets taken down, lands some great elbows off his back, but then the second round finishes it. Robbie Lawler versus Rory McDonald, probably the best fight you'll ever watch, maybe, possibly. Ooh. It's one of the best fights I've ever seen.
Yeah. That moment where the two of them just stood.
And they kind of just looked at each other and they were bleeding. And that was the fight that people thought and still think that maybe changed Rory McDonald. I think he proved people wrong against Paul Daly. Mm-hmm. But one of the best fights you'll ever watch. 2 fights on top of that card are worth the money.
Jeremy Stevenson flying knee finish at Dennis.
Jeremy Stevens flying knee finish. He was getting getting beat.
That was a back and forth. That was a barn runner of a fight.
I thought Bermudez was going towards a victory in that fight, getting a decision. Finished it. Gunnar Nelson comes back with a finish of Brandon Thatch, the guy who
lit him up on the feet first.
Before Brandon Thatch got to the UFC, I wrote an article for WoW TV saying this guy is an excellent fighter. He's a prospect to watch, and he kind of entered the UFC, looked great, and started, got finished, the grappling was a problem. But then Gunnar Nelson comes in and knocks him down and then finishes him with submission. And Thomas Almeida versus Brad Pickett.
I remember we had Brad Pickett on, and I was saying, that was one of my favourite fights. That first round. Because in a way, Almeida was seen as the new superstar kid. And it was like Brad Pickett was given to him to elevate. Look, he's beating Brad Pickett. Yeah. But Pickett lit him up in the first round. Landed his own flying knees. Yeah. And you're thinking, how the fuck did Almeida survive that? And then fucking wow.
Flying
29
knee.
Seconds into the second round, flying knee finish.
And then you were saying to your screen, to your TV, to your mates when you're watching it there, you'll never see a better flying knee than that ever. And then about 2 hours later, you see fucking Jeremy Stevens landing a crazy flying knee. And then the prelims were good as well. Matt Brown beat Tim Means in a very good fight. A couple of decisions there. Louis Smoke and Neil Seary. Yeah. Good fight. Neil Seary doing really well against a very good grappler, I thought.
Jeez, that was Irish heavy, wasn't he?
It was Irish heavy, yeah.
Well, I'm clearly counting Gunnar there. Yeah. John Howard beat Cottle Pendred, split decision as well on that card. Yeah. Awesome card. Who else people know? I'm not sure I ever saw Rockhold. Oh yeah, 199 Rockhold Bisbing saving the day coming in. Yeah. And fighting Rockhold.
Do you any more? I'm going to call out the ones that...
Yeah, big ones for me. Another great card that delivered, because there was such hype about 200 with the whole 100 almost to look back at. And it didn't turn out to be the card everyone thought. But 202, man. 202, yeah. McGregor Diaz, 2. Anthony Johnson beating Glover Teixeira. Donald Cowboy Cerrone doing some fucking Street Fighter shit against Rick Story. Mike Perry just being a prick and beating now young Kim Lin. Tim Means, unbelievable. Cody Garbrandt knocking out Muzaki. Unbelievable fight. Raquel Pennington. Artem Lobov beating Chris Avila, where Chris Avila just ran. But that Lorenz Larkin The knockout of Neil Magny, stunning fight as well. So 202, super card as well. Any other mentions?
For me, another one going back further, 2005 UFC 52, which was headlined by Chuck Liddell, Randy Couture. That was number 2, I believe. Nice. Chuck Liddell knocked out Randy Couture, and probably one of the better knockouts you'll see. It also had the Matt Hughes, Frank Trigg fight, the crazy fight.
Yeah.
I had the GSP, Jason Miller fight, which was the deadly fight. And then you had like just legends on the card. You had Renato Sobral. You had Travis Wolff, who's probably had about 600 fights at this point. You had Matt Linland, of course, George St. Pierre there as well. That was a great fight. Joe Higgs.
In his little Speedos. Was that a Speedos?
No. That was a, great fight. Great card as well.
A super card for me as well. And it's because of the main event as well, was UFC 139, which was Dan Henderson, Mauricio Shogun, Hua.
Oh, yeah.
Won.
Just for the...
Wanderlei Silva beat Kung Lee in it. Uriah Faber beat Brian Bowes. That was a great fight. Remember that?
Oh, yeah. Excellent fight.
What else? But that was, again, another standout card. You'd... other notables that people said on Reddit was UFC 205, a big moment. UFC New York, McGregor Alvarez main event. Woodley, Wonderboy going to a draw. Joanna Carolina, Yoel Romero.
People are very
people
are very current, aren't they?
Yeah,
like, not in a bad way. It's,
but
it could be newer fans, or it could be just fresh in the mind. What comes to mind straight away.
Yeah.
Any other good ones there?
UFC 116. I'm trying to who was on 116. A lot of people are shouting 189. Or 202. 189 is a lot of people screaming out for.
I have one more, and it's cheating. But when I seen best MMA card, UFC card, I thought of Pride 33. It's cheating. It's not a UFC card, but Pride 33 is probably my all-time favorite MMA card. Closely followed by my first pick. But if you look at that card, that was one of the Vegas shows that Pride done. They didn't do a lot of Vegas shows. Of course, Pride was a Japanese organization, but they came to Vegas and they done Dan Henderson versus Wanderlei Silva. Henderson with a knockout avenges his loss against Silva a while back. You had Nick Diaz versus Takanori Gomi, where Nick Diaz hit one of the rare go-go platas. Of course, that's, if you look on Wikipedia now, that's a no contest, but go back and watch that fight because it's a crazy brawl. Takanori Gomi at that time was looked at as a really dangerous striker, and he was. Nick Diaz stood right in front of him. Eventually he hit the ground, and Nick Diaz hit a go-go plata, which you just don't see in MMA at all. There's probably been maybe 2 or 3 of them. That was one of them. And unfortunately, that got turned to a no contest because Nick Diaz, as he normally does, was smoking a bit of weed.
Another shout out from Gunner 59 Jags was UFC 166. That was Velasquez dos Santos 3. The one fight that really stood out for me that night was Gilbert Melendez, Diego Sanchez.
Oh, excellent fight. Yeah, that was a really good fight. Yeah, and other fights on that Pride card, just because you have to go through them.
Unbelievable.
Shogun Hua against Alistair Overeem, knockout. You had Sakurai versus Mac Danzig. And then
it's in a weird now when you look at the size of Overeem that you're going.
Yeah, Shogun, I know. Yeah, how did he fight Shogun? And then the crazy one, which a lot of people talk about, it was the birth of a hero, of a star. And then unfortunately, he didn't really do much after that. It was
Bob Sapp.
No, Thierry Sokaju defeating Little Nog by knockout. Come in, one of the biggest underdogs in MMA history, and comes in, he knocks out Little Nog.
129 was a big show. Remember that huge stadium show in Rogers Centre? Was like one of the big ones.
That was the GSP.
Jake Shields.
It was a good card.
Jose Aldo, Mark Hominick.
Yeah, that was a great fight.
Cheetah Couture.
Yeah.
Benson Henderson. Just trying to look at it. Oh, Rory McDonald against Nate Diaz. It was a great fight.
Beat the brakes off him.
Beat the brakes, certainly did.
Yeah.
But yeah, so again, that's
comment below with yours.
Plenty of examples. And if you were listening, I know we were saying a lot of shows there, but if you've got Fight Pass, go back and look at them. If you don't, MMAcore.com. But yeah, check them out.